Hey guys, welcome to today's stream. In fact, you know what? I'll restart that. That isn't how I usually start the intro. Hey guys, welcome to the Sandro Linux Community Podcast. It is the 11th of. It's the 10th of November 2023. So it's a Friday, as always. Every time we do this stream, it's a Friday. And I did the stream. It's just I didn't stream it. Because I somehow, a bit of an error on my part, to be honest, not actually streaming the stream. But, we'll cover the stories as fast, as we can here today, I guess. But we'll still give you the content. Now I've had a proper look over the stories. Hopefully it should be more of a polished show this week. So why don't we start off with a bit of a kind of look forward to the next week. So next week we will be interviewing the developer of the Android launcher Toridium. So that will be on next week's podcast. So hopefully we'll be able to ask them some of the more tough questions, ask them about why they think their launcher is better than all the other launchers, and why people should actually use their launcher and pay for it. So that'll be an interesting discussion, and we'll have that. And we'll also ask some of the more kind of questions about, why they decided to start developing Android apps, and all that stuff. So look forward to that. I look forward to doing that next week. Anyway, starting off with the headline story, which is not that actually. It is a different story. It is the story. I'll just pull it up right this second. So the headline story this week is China's largest bank being hit by a ransomware attack. So the Lockbit ransomware was used in this attack to hit China's largest bank, ICBC. So apparently this disrupted its financial services systems. And this could have a knock-on effect to the US Treasury markets and global financial markets. So that will be quite a big. This could have quite a big impact. However, the impact has not been fully assessed yet, given how recent this attack has been. Now, it was using a exploit called Citrix Bleed. So this is an exploit in apparently some software they were using, and apparently this has been reported, and we don't currently know how much the ransom is on this, decrypting the data, or whether the ransomware key is still intact. But the culprit could be any of the affiliates of Lockbit, so we're not exactly sure who it is, or, whether they'll be able to get the decryption key. Most likely not. So this will have big implications, of course. Right now, the only potential thing we could say is it could have possible ties to Russia, but right now, that's just speculation. Do you have any thoughts, Piggers? Okay, moving on to the next story. So this is in the Android news. So the Oppo Find X7 is set to have is apparently going to have satellite communication. So of course we've been seeing more stuff with satellites with Starlink and such, and other satellite communication companies. And apparently, this feature will take advantage of the BDO satellite messaging system. I'm sorry if I got that incorrect, that pronunciation. But apparently, this will most likely be limited to China. This has only been used in marketing materials in China on okay, on Weibo, on... I need to fix my pronunciation here. I am sorry, guys. On Weibo. There we are, on Weibo. And yes, so that's quite an interesting story. For the Chinese audience, mainly, though. Because this probably won't affect Western markets, but yeah. Anyway, Pigus, have you got any thoughts? Yes. Space. A piece of the space outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Anyway, continuing on, guys, to the next story. Apart from a strange little thing that was just happening there. Yes, so moving on to the PC news here, Microsoft has apparently reversed course on OneDrive's quitting dialogue. So apparently Microsoft has decided to pull back on this. It sounds very annoying. Apparently, if you are trying to get rid of OneDrive, you would actually have to go through this quitting dialogue, and you would have to give feedback on why you quit. So do you have any thoughts on this, Pigus? I mean, it's quite obvious rolling this back. It's a very annoying thing. But, what are your thoughts on this? Okay, so moving back to the Android news, because apparently I forgot to cover another story. I nearly forgot this one. And I actually covered it in the previous show, in the correct sequence, but... Sorry about that, guys. You won't ever be able to see it. Only me and Pigus will actually ever know that happened. But Amazon apparently is moving away from Android to their new Vega OS. So apparently Vega will be based on a flavor of Linux. And so... Of course, you could say that Windows Phone has tried this in the past. They tried, many different companies have tried to launch their own Android competitor, and they failed. But, of course, with this being a big company, Amazon, and them actually basing it on Linux, and potentially being able to implement more porting tools and an easier way of writing applications, maybe they'll be able to get developer support, and maybe they'll be able to win over consumers, but we can't be sure at current moment. Do you have any thoughts, Pigus? I mean, if you just add the commentary back that you, you said in the first show. Okay. Okay, so... Yeah, so basically this entire show at this point is like, oh yeah, we talked about it last show, didn't we? Except, we're covering the exact same stories, oh yeah. And it's like the second take, isn't it? Except I didn't mean to do that. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I would mainly say that, to be honest. But Fedora 39 has been released, moving into the Linux distro news. So this is a new release of Fedora, and on November the 5th, 2003, the first version of Fedora was released, Fedora Core 1, and now they're pleased to present Fedora 39. So this is a new version of Fedora, quite significant given they just released it. And, right on the anniversary of Fedora, the second anniversary, I guess, it's been 20 years now since Fedora was first released. Not really that many updates this time. Now Fedora Cloud images will be available on Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud, as well as AWS. So that's cool if you're, a cloud administrator, or if, you want to just deploy some stuff on the cloud. But not really much else. So let's just move on with that, I think. Now, moving on... So, joint birthday. And let's continue on to the gaming news. So, Valve say the next generation Steam Deck is apparently about 2 or 3 years away. So, Valve only just released only just announced the new Steam Deck OLED, but apparently they're already saying to Bloomberg, they're reporting to Bloomberg that apparently the next generation Steam Deck is only 2 to 3 years away. So, of course, if you have this new Steam Deck and, the Steam Deck OLED, maybe this will hit sales, given that people now know that a new one is in the pipeline and they might hold on and wait for this new Steam Deck. But most likely, it will just indicate that there'll be continued support for the Linux, for the Steam Deck project, I guess. So, of course, it's been quite successful for Valve, I'm guessing. Even though they're losing money on it, they're getting a lot of popularity out of it. So I imagine that's what they're looking for. Have you got any thoughts, Piggott? Okay. So, moving on to the next story. It's actually the game releases. So, November the 14th, only 4 days away, Hogwarts Legacy is being released on the Nintendo Switch. Get excited, Switch fans. Get excited. You're going to get another game, I guess. I'm not sure that many Switch fans are excited about this. But, this game that was released back in February is now coming to the Switch. So if you're into the Harry Potter, scene, I guess, then you might enjoy this game. But moving on to the next story, Assassin's Creed Nexus VR is being released on November the 16th. So that is interesting. They don't ever seem to release games on a Friday. Maybe it's something to do with when people work, something, I don't know. But yeah, so it seems that this is a new Assassin's Creed game. So, Assassin's Creed has been a franchise for more than a decade at this point. They've had many games for many years. And they'll be adding a lot of the characters from previous non-VR games. So, there'll be stuff from Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 3, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Thus you'll be able to actually visit Renaissance Italy, the American Revolution, and even ancient Greece. So that's a lot of Assassin's Creed, eras, and, a lot of historical periods. So it's pretty cool to see an Assassin's Creed VR game, and we'll just have to see how this goes, I guess. So it will be released on PC, MetaQuest 3, and MetaQuest 2. So I could actually check it out if I wanted to. I don't know how much it costs though, so I'll have to check. But yeah, do you have any thoughts, Piggott? Before we move on. Okay, moving on to the next story. So the Indian news. The Indian broadband and cellular news. So, the Department of Telecommunications in India is looking to get more clarity on Amazon's SATCOM plans. So basically they're planning for some satellite, licensing, and the Indian government are quite unsure about whether to give it, and apparently, they're currently evaluating it and they're weighing up whether to give Amazon this license. Of course, there is a worry that Amazon could outcompete their local competitors such as Jio. Jio's a very big company, and it's a homegrown company to India. So, of course, Jio, they want to keep the big companies in India, still on top. They don't want Amazon coming in and, an American company taking over their, internet space and taking over business. So they have to consider that. But, of course, they also have to consider whether being excluded from big investments is a good move. Have you got any thoughts, Piggott, on this? Okay, so moving on to the UK news. So the mobile provider O2 is recalling their own brand phone chargers. So you can see here all of the phone chargers that have been recalled. Only 20 watt and 45 watt chargers are affected in this recall because apparently a third party supplier actually investigated and they found that there was actually some faults, but there weren't significant failures in testing, so there's a very low likelihood of public risk, but you can actually send back your product, and I would suggest you do, so you don't end up with a faulty product that could catch fire or, explode or whatever. It's better to err on the side of caution when it comes to chargers. You're better safe than sorry. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Another UK story, E and BT TV customers can no longer skip advertisements on ITV. So if you're watching on-demand content, or you're watching content using the TV, using the internet TV function, then you will no longer be able to skip through ads, and you actually have to pay at least $5.99 for the ITVX premium plan. So, of course, this sucks for BT customers who will now have to watch through these adverts. But, of course, constantly there are renegotiations in contracts that mean that, different TV providers give different broadband providers certain perks, and, certain ones are taken away for certain money. So, of course, this is just the kind of way of things. But it's sad to see that this happened to BT customers. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Broadband ISP Telecom, Home Telecom, has acquired HomeShift. So there's not really much to talk about here, except from the fact that Home Telecom is actually owned by TalkTalk. A majority stake is owned by TalkTalk. So, of course, this does show a bit more consolidation in the telecom space. However, it is cool to see, more investment in telecom, of course. But we'll just have to wait and see how all these mergers and acquisitions actually affect competition. Anyway, let's move on to the miscellaneous news. There's not really much need for comment, is there, Piggus? I don't think you really had that many thoughts on those stories. Okay, so apparently Twitch's CEO has been living his own version of the van life. So apparently he's been traveling around the US, the CEO of Twitch, Dan Clancy. So apparently he has been decided to start meeting top streamers in the US and went to hear their concerns. So, of course, Twitch have been trying to fix their PR image. They've been going from scandal to scandal at certain points, with certain controversies when it comes to their moderation, their monetization, all the Asians. So really, they are, they're trying to improve their PR, and I guess this is one way of doing it, and also another way of getting streamers to come back to the platform. Have you got any thoughts, Piggus? Okay, moving on to the next story, the last story. Google Drive is now allowing you to filter files by collaborator. So you'll now be able to filter files by user. So you'll be able to pick which user you want to have files, you want to see files from, and whether you want to see, whether they're shared with them, whether they're the owner or whatever. So you can now filter by people and Google accounts. So that's pretty cool when it comes to filtering files in Google Drive. So unless you have any thoughts on that, Piggus, I think that's time to wrap up. So, sorry about missing, everybody missing the original stream. I tried to go quick fire through these. I think I did a decent job. I mean, that was a lot quicker than the original. So, I guess we got through it. And there we are. So thank you guys for watching. Next week we will make sure, I guarantee, that we do not do that again, that we are actually on time for the interview with the Android launcher developer. For now, you can check out his project if you want to. In fact, I'll pull it up on stream if I can. In fact, you know what? We have enough time for that next week. So see you guys next week. If you want to check out the Discord server, go to sandrolitz.com/discord. And if you want to show your support, then please like, subscribe, and share the video. And until the next one, goodbye. See you guys in the next one.